So it's high time I put a video on here of my little printer. It's got a million mods. Looks like somebody's late night science project at this point. I got about 4 different things going on. I'm about to finalize a couple of them, but right now it's actually testing, it's actually sensing how far it is away from the metal build platform. There's this purple stuff on there is purple children's washable glue stick. The PLA, polylactic acid, sticks to it quite nicely. Right now I'm printing a new piece for the head, this piece here. It tends to sag after a while because it is made out of the build material. Eventually I'm going to print one out of the stronger, more resilient plastic called ABS. But I'm reprinting this one. It's the guy who designed it put some extra supports on it. I'm just gonna sort of look at that for a minute. Man, the focus on this is terrible. There you go. Quite a few mods. I grabbed this power supply off Amazon and I soldered a bunch of leads off of it to replace the one it came with to power the extra things I have running, fans, eventually a heat bed, which is up here. I need to solder a thermistor onto it, which is stored away my parts. Just finally got that in the mail. For those of you that have the upgrade tower, I added some, I think it's 3/8 inch PVC pipe. I took the Dremel sander bit down into the hole to thin it out so that it fits the bearings that were already on there perfectly. Cut these things down to fit in here, and now I can fit any size spool on there with no problems. I got tired of changing spool setups depending on what I got in the mail. But that thing, I haven't found anything that doesn't fit on there yet, and it works perfectly. It's kind of a mess behind there, but anyways, this is really one of my first prints of trying to get this auto leveler to work properly, and so far I'm liking it. It's all a matter of getting your initial setup. My board's kind of crooked and I've had to modify where I put the probe. I'm gonna try to get it closer to the extruder. I think the closer you can get it to the extruder, the better. That way you get uniformity around the build platform. Another kind of idea I have, just in case anybody else is wondering, I'm doing a hot bed or cold bed with this Elmer's washable glue stick, and in between I get a good, like, maybe, I don't know, 10 coats on there, maybe about 6 coats on there of this stuff. Let it all dry, and then in between prints I'll spray it down with a water bottle and just kind of Zamboni the surface. I stick my big fan on there. I have a big fan in the back here that kind of cools the whole thing off. The other motors get really hot. Got various heat sinks slapped on here and there. Yes, I've turned the current output down on these, and after long prints I just like to keep them cool. Like I said, it looks like a nightmare on here with all these fans and heat sinks, but with this no sag 300mm upgrade that John made, unfortunately it will sag after a while if the motor gets pretty heat. I've got the current turned down about as far as it'll go to where it doesn't affect the print quality. You can see here I got this weird deal where I had the probe stuck there to a fan, and I'm calling that the Frankenstein. It's on Thingiverse, but unfortunately it didn't work for me because it puts the probe way too far away from the extruder and also way too close to the edge here. I actually ended up losing about 20 millimeters of print space, print volume. So I moved it there, and the way I do it here, and a lot of people are wondering probably how I glued all this crap on here. It's all glued on, and the most effective way I found to glue anything, I know a lot of people are using hot glue, which I'm sure is effective. I've never tried it. What I use is a soldering iron. It melts at about 200 degrees centigrade, so I set my soldering iron at about 210 or so, and I just made a really nice seam in there. It's almost like just putting a little line of super glue, but it's my heat gun, or my soldering iron. And then actually, another thing that is really helpful, I've used this for fixing a ton of parts that are broken. Here's my workbench, is obviously a mess, is this heat air gun. I set this thing up to about 250 degrees Celsius, and I use this, and basically it's not enough to melt the plastic outright, but it's enough to make it tacky, and I'm able to glue pretty much any part together, and if I'm really slow with it, I can make it look like it was never broke. I use it all the time to glue PLA back together. In fact, I am really impressed with that and how well it works. Here's my bin full of failed / old parts. I'm keeping them in the hopes that someday I will crunch them up and recycle them somehow. I know there's various extruders on the market out there that will re-extrude this stuff. I'm thinking of maybe putting it in my Vitamix or Blendtec Will It Blend. They've blended all kinds of other things, so I'm thinking it'll probably blend this back down into a powder and potentially put it into a hopper of some kind. There's one online for about $1,000. I don't have $1,000 laying around, but I'm hoping that soon they will come up with a really cost-effective solution to returning this to its spool form so that it can be reused. But yeah, it's amazing all the things you print over time that you don't use or didn't fit. This is part of a hydroponics deal I'm working on that again, my biggest problem with this stuff is I am trying to 3D model and I really don't know what I'm doing. It's really all guesswork, but anyways. There it is. Looks like I got a good adhesion. See, no curling at all. Man, I hate the focus on this. It's actually looking pretty good. Kind of a pointless video, but just gonna post it for fun.